Our Across the Aisle segment tonight, Susan Rice is a liar. She lied about Benghazi. She lied about the intelligence report unmasking, and now we know she lied about chemical weapons in Syria. How long will liberals keep defending her? With me now to answer that question, former Georgia State Representative, Democratic strategist, LaDawn Jones. Representative Jones, good to see you.
Hi, Liz. Your hair is beautiful.
Thank you. I was just thinking the same thing about your glasses. Glad we're both on point today. Representative Jones, talk to me about Susan Rice. Is what she said, these lies that she's been telling, is that defensible still?
It is so hard for me to seriously discuss Susan Rice when we're talking about lies, considering what has been going on in the first couple of months of the Trump administration. But generally, I don't believe that Susan Rice has lied. It really takes someone who is involved in government and understands that there are intricacies. There are things that are sometimes beyond your control. And I believe at the time Susan Rice said that they had verified that al-Assad had gotten rid of his weapons, that she truly believed it at the time.
All right, well, let's go through some of these things, because I do want to talk about some of the statements that she's made. She was pretty high up in the government, as you know, national security advisor. She was privy to very classified information. She would have been one of the first to know these things. Let's go back a couple of years. Let's start with Benghazi. We have a clip of what she said about that. Take a look.
Based on the best information we have to date, what our assessment is as of the present is, in fact, what it began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo, where, of course, as you know, there was a violent protest outside of our embassy sparked by this hateful video.
All right, Representative Jones, we saw the Hillary Clinton emails once they'd been released. We saw that Hillary Clinton herself told her daughter Chelsea that she knew at the time it was a terror attack. Not even bringing Hillary Clinton into this, National Security Advisor Susan Rice would have known at that time, or in the days following, what had happened. They didn't think it was a video. They knew that that was a constructed talking point. Do you not consider that to be a lie?
I don't, because these things are multifaceted, and all along the Clinton and the Obama administration made it very clear that the video, the terrorist attack, all of those things are tied in. We have to remember that it is the job of our national security advisor and the presidential office in general to keep calm amongst the people. We want them to be honest. We want them to know that America is acting and doing what is in our best interest. But they also have to be cautious and not to put out information that they cannot verify at the time. And for them to recklessly come out and say this was absolutely a terrorist attack without enough information to inform the American people would have been the wrong thing to do.
I mean, but wasn't that exactly what she did, though? I mean, how could she have verified that it was a YouTube video when that sparked this protest, when she had actual evidence before her that said it was a terror attack waged by jihadists? There'd been threat of that. The ambassador to that area, Chris Stevens, had been warning the State Department, sent something like 600 emails talking about this danger. She knew, the Secretary of State knew that it was a terror attack. Obviously, the National Security Advisor knew it too. Hillary Clinton later admitted that. I mean, I guess I don't understand how that's defensible, and that to me is one of Susan Rice's character flaws that we've seen all along.
Yeah, but I truly believe that the attempt to continue to bring up Benghazi is more of a deflection away from all of the terrible things that Trump has been doing, terrible problems that he's been having with Russia. That's really, truly all it is. However, how can we not believe that it is both possible that the video did in fact spur this terrorist attack? And I don't understand why there is such a distinction being made. I think that we are, truly grasping at straws in order to turn the attention away from what is going on.
No, I mean, with all due respect, I disagree. I don't think that it was in tandem. I think blaming it on the YouTube video was a very clear effort by the left to blame this terror attack on Islamophobia, to blame this on hatred, to blame Americans for the violence that is being waged by radical jihadists. They don't want to admit that it's radical jihadists, that it's radical Islamic terrorists. They don't want to say that. They're looking for any reason, to use your word, to deflect away from blaming radical Islam. That's why I don't think it was a tandem here. But let's move on. Let's talk about Russia, because that is a really important topic here. Susan Rice has become intertwined. She's become involved in this since Congressman Nunez said that he found her logs requesting the unmasking of names of Trump officials after the election, that she had created or requested the creation of detailed spreadsheets of their phone calls, which were incidentally collected during surveillance of other foreign targets. And Susan Rice, of course, even though we believe we have the proof, Congressman Nunez said he saw those logs, she said that she knew nothing about it. Take a look.
I know nothing about this. I was surprised to see reports from Chairman Nunez on that count today.
And this comes back to the lying again. I mean, if she was the one, Representative Jones, if she was the one who requested those logs, why would she go on national television and say, I know nothing about it?
Well, let's be clear. What she said is that she knew nothing about there being actual surveillance on Trump or Trump Tower directly. Now, if our president, our current president, decided to be involved with and communicate with Russians, as we now know that his former Secretary Flynn was, she cannot be blamed because he was involved. Again, this is deflection.
No, the surveillance was nothing about Russia. It was nothing about Russia. Both Congressman Schiff and Congressman Nunez, who are heading up the House Intelligence Committee investigation into this, said that this surveillance of foreign targets in which Trump transition team officials were incidentally collected, that had nothing to do with Russia.
But let's be clear, Nunez is not a reliable source because he said that he got information from the White House that he had to take to the White House. So we can't really trust what he had to say.
Well, Schiff looked at that same information, though. The Democrat, Schiff, just to be clear for our viewers, the ranking Democrat on that committee, Congressman Schiff, he looked at exactly what Congressman Nunez looked at, and he didn't deny what Congressman Nunez said, and I think he would have if it were a lie.
Possibly, but here's what we do know. We know that our president decided to come out months in advance and ask Russia from a stage to check into Clinton's her background and to tap her phones and look into her computers. And so for him to be then upset that the people still in charge of protecting our security followed up on his own words, whether it was related to Russia or not, and considering that they were not looking at Trump directly, but for some reason, people that he seems to pal around with are folks who are under investigation. That should be the concerning thing, not what she said and the specifics of what she said, but who exactly was Trump talking to that was already on the list to be surveilled?
Well, the Russian ambassador, for one thing. I mean, that's fairly typical. The Russian ambassador is always recorded no matter who he's talking to. Many foreign agents that the government talks to or international businessmen talk to. I mean, you know this, Representative Jones. This is extremely typical for that surveillance to happen when you're talking to people from other governments, representatives from other governments, particularly ones that aren't friendly to the United States. What is not typical is for the names to be unmasked and for that to be used for political purposes here. Just to get back, though, to your point before, talking about, this evidence or this proof that Trump somehow colluded with the Russians, I haven't seen any proof. If there is proof, you and I have talked about this before, I will be the first to call that out. I don't think it's appropriate for a president, regardless of his political affiliation, to collude with a foreign nation to undermine our democracy, our republic here. I don't see any proof. What proof are you talking about?
Well, we have no doubt that Sessions has said that he's had communications. Flynn said that he had communications. What were the nature of those communications? We may not ever know. But let's be honest. In particular,
I mean, those communications, though, forgive the interruption, those communications, I mean, was there any law that was broken that I'm not aware of?
Laws that are broken versus doing what is in the best interest of Americans when you are running for president of the United States is what makes a difference here. We don't only look to the black letter law when we're expecting you to be a leader. We're asking you to hold up the highest standards of morality and, more than anything, make sure that there are no appearances of impropriety. And by having these communications and then jokingly putting should tap the phone, I think he should have been a little wiser, because what that indicates that in his presidential role, he will also make those same bad decisions.
Right, but doesn't that same philosophy, doesn't that same standard apply to Susan Rice, that even if she didn't break the letter of the law, she broke the spirit of the law by requesting the unmasking of those names of U.S. citizens when they shouldn't have otherwise been unmasked? That the Obama administration, after she made these requests, the Obama administration declassified or lowered the classification level of people who could see these names unmasking, therefore causing in higher likelihood that leaks would happen. Isn't that the same kind of standard?
I don't think so. I think that she used her judgment and she thought that would be in the best interest of Americans to know going forward. And frankly, I trust Susan Rice far more than I trust the decision of those that Trump has selected.
Right, and I guess I don't trust government officials on either side of the aisle, but I don't have a problem with high-ranking officials talking to their counterparts in another country, as long as it's above board. And as much evidence as we have now, it seems that, Jeff Sessions, you mentioned, he just talked to the ambassador, no problem there. Representative Jones, we're out of time. Thanks so much for being here.